Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Autistic Voice Project. Once again, I am Matt Lowry, evaluator and therapist, autistic person coming to you from Kentucky, more or less.
Hi, I'm Erin Findley. I'm coming from Napa, California, often found in the state of confusion,
Uh, I've
but
got
not
dual
always.
citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
Which might soon
as
be outlawed.
yeah. That's okay. So let's start there. Let's start there
Sorry.
because that's a
Did I
that's a
just
great
drop the
place.
bomb in the middle of the
Exactly.
conversation?
Yeah. So
Sorry.
this we were all talking before the podcast. If you're watching this on YouTube, which we may have a new YouTube channel by now, I don't know how
Oh, no,
time
we do.
works.
We totally
We
do.
do.
It's all set up.
If you're watching this on the new YouTube channel, you already know that Arielle has joined us, and he was a former guest on the old podcast, and we have come back. And I was getting into this thing about when we were talking before the show about how this will be airing the first week of 2026. Hopefully, fingers crossed, assuming time and everything works as it does. But we are in a weird area, especially like with the whole Kennedy thing and yeah, the Tylenol and vaccines and blaming stuff and taking away citizenship and all of these things. And I was talking about how the world is very weird these days, especially for autistic people. And stuff like Hunter's episode about knitting can be very helpful because we need to know that there's cool stuff out there for us and cool people doing cool stuff. Which is again why I've asked Arielle to come back because belly dancing is awesome. So Arielle, who are you and what do you do for the people who don't know who you are?
I'm so grateful to be back here. Thank you for bringing me in. So my studio is Dance Life Studio and Fitness. I'm located in Madison, Wisconsin, but most people know me. Most people think my name is Madison because Madison Dance Life is my handle on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And I make a lot of advocacy videos using dance. So it's usually dance with some kind of text over it, and I address fat phobia. I address colonization and ableism and ageism, and yeah, we just do our best to show a bunch of different people out living our best lives and not waiting to be a better version.
This is the point where I remind our audience to buckle up because we got a lot to say about these things.
We sure
Always.
So
do.
this is going to be a fun one. I like it. Let's go into it. So so how did you find yourself, uh, Mr. Dance Life, to get into all of this? Tell us about your childhood. How did you decide that dance would be your life? Where
And
Tell us all
specifically
about
belly
this.
dance, because that's not
Yes.
necessarily the most obvious choice for, like, I grew up in, suburban California, and, it was jazz, tap, and ballet, right?
Yep.
Um, which are like the standard
And square.
three. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really do much square dancing, but like belly dancing, that's just cool.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly what
please
I
take
said
it away.
when I found it.
Yeah.
So growing up, I knew, because you know how in school they're always pushing you towards aptitude tests and like pick your career by the time you're age 12. And at every point when I have found writings of myself as a child, I always said, I don't know. I will pick what I'll be later when I'm more logical. Quote, I said that at 12.
Oh my God. That's
I will be
awesome.
more
Because you're
logical
not
there.
already
That's awesome.
logical enough coming to that logical conclusion.
That's
You're
brilliant.
going to for supreme logic. Yes.
Good job,
Exactly. I'm
kiddo.
like, this doesn't seem to make sense, so it must make sense later. I know.
Yeah.
And I always really felt like an outcast because everybody else seemed to know exactly what they wanted to do. And the one thing that I did know was that working in a corporate environment, I just felt like it would suck my soul from my body. And
Mhm.
I didn't realize until I understood that I was autistic as an adult why I would never have fit into that. I was really good at school, but I hated it because I was just playing the game. That's what my mom, she taught me how to mask. She didn't know that that's what she did, but she taught me how to
Mhm.
mask to like get through the world. It be good enough that you can skip as much school as possible, and nobody's going to say anything because your grades are good, but not so good that like there's a bunch of spotlights on you, right? So she taught me how to navigate those worlds. And I had, if you ever did one of those exercises at school where you write a letter to yourself and then your teacher mails it to you 10 years later or whatever, that kind of thing.
That's neat.
So yeah, this was a really great idea. Teachers do this because it was very cool. So it was a letter that I wrote in 10th grade that my teacher sent 10 days later, or 10 years later. And in it, I said, I want to be a professional singer, but I would be a dancer as a backup job.
Okay.
So suppose this was the part where I thought I would be more logical as I got older.
I like the expectations there because you're like, oh, of course I'll be successful in some area. I'll settle for dancing.
Yes, I just like, I don't know if I'm a good enough singer, so like I would be, that would be, that would be pretty fun too. So I too thought that I'd missed the boat because I didn't do Western dance. Didn't get into dance until I was 16 years old. And when I started belly dance, and I thought I had missed the boat on dance at that point. But my mom had just turned 50 and she wanted to, find something to age gracefully with. And she went to a variety show that had belly dancers in it. And she said,
Ooh.
hey, I think I could do that. And me at 16 having absolutely zero conception that my mom might want some alone time, I was like, oh, me, you have to take me. Oh, belly dancing, I have to do it. Oh my God, please.
Nice.
Yes, mother, we will both belly dance. Of course.
Of course.
And she
I will
goes,
be
there
joining you for
went my
that.
alone time.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I don't think that she really did anyway, but so we started together and we still dance together to this day. And it was because I had felt like I'd missed boat when I got into belly dance, which was primarily women in their 30s and 40s. I was like, oh my God, I'm a baby. 16, this is great. Sign me up. And at 18, I decided I wanted to be a full-time professional dancer. And thank God. So my parents did not know that I was autistic, that they were autistic, that my brother's autistic, because surprise, surprise, it's the whole family. They raised me in a very autism affirming way despite not having that information. So they knew that me
Nice.
fitting in, because I was actually, so my mom was a nurse, and this is where she learned how to math.
And I was enrolled in nursing school. And my mom
yes.
said, do you actually want to do this? And I was just like, no, I don't. I want to be a dancer. So they encouraged me. They encouraged me, even though, this doesn't seem like the logical choice to encourage a daughter who is about to go into nursing school. So
Well, that's the thing. So earlier today, I was doing a training, and we were talking about autistic trauma and being born in a world that hates and fears us, and all the weird stuff that we have to accommodate others for. And I kind of waved around and said that when my son comes here, this is a branch of Autistica, and everything around here is catered to our like sensory needs and our entertainment needs and understanding who he needs to be. And your parents knew that nursing, while a noble and logical job, was not the thing that fit you. So,
Exactly.
what is it like to have that level of support, even when not knowing that the autism label exists?
Oh, is swearing allowed? We can swear, right? They're
We
swearing.
can swear.
Yeah.
We can
Fuck
swear.
yeah.
Okay, so I was like, I'm pretty sure we've sworn that I've heard swearing. So I've done a lot of work on like family systems, and one thing that they teach you in this is that all of your parents, everybody's parents, will give them pearls and bullshit. So, and that both of these things can be unintentional. So having worked through a lot of this with my mom, there was acknowledgement of the bullshit that she passed on unintentionally, as parents will do, because of course everybody wants to do their best and sometimes you fall short. And I tell her so many times that this is such a pearl. She didn't know, that there's a way that she can give pearls without having known what they were either. And this was just such a blessing because most of my friends and my loved ones who also grew up autistic and their families didn't know, they were made to conform to neurotypicality. And my mom, when she taught me how to mask as a kid, it was never that there was something wrong with me. It was that this is how you will get what you want in the world. Right? It was never about that there was a default with me or that there was something wrong with me. It was always about here's how you can fit in and
here's how you work the system.
Here's how you work the system. That's exactly it. Right.
Yep.
It was such a gift.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the onus is not on you. The onus is on the system is weird and broken, and this is what we have to do to deal with the normies. But she supported you. She supported your decision. She supported who you are.
Yes, exactly. And my brother's 10 years older than me. And I know that she feels like there's ways that she didn't give him the autism affirming upbringing that she was able to give me, because there were a lot of times that she said, I felt more ready to give this at this time in a way that I think reflects her being more, because I had meltdowns as a child. I would scream and cry. And, now, because I had a meltdown before a show back in September at my studio, is like 10 minutes to doors opening. And I'm like, oh no, here it comes. And my mom's just like, just let it go. Just sit down. Just let it out. Puts a hand on my chest. She's like, just go. Just let it out. Don't try to hold it back. Because she knows this is how I've been my whole life, and that was never something that I remember hearing a story about, like, I don't know if this is real, two twins being raised separately, and they need cinnamon to eat something. They put cinnamon on it and they will eat it. And you don't put cinnamon on it and they won't eat it. And one family's like, I don't know what to do. He just won't eat unless we put cinnamon on it. And the other family's like, I put cinnamon on it. He'll eat anything. It's fine. And that's how my mom was, right?
Nice.
It was never a problem that everything required cinnamon,
Right.
She never pathologized that.
Beautiful.
That's a really, really great thing. And Erin, you work with a lot of families. What is up
I do.
with there's because that could be a thing about like parental guilt, that they didn't know any better, or how do you raise a child to be healthy autistic when all these people in the world are telling you, yes, just beat it out of them because beating is an acceptable method of parenting.
Because the beatings will continue until morale improves.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's several different things going on, right? Parents often they don't know what the other options are. They think they're maybe somehow aiding and abetting if they put cinnamon on everything, or ketchup, or whatever your flavoring of need is.
Yeah,
right?
the stuff to make things more slightly more bearable.
Well, right. Like, yeah, and so they think they're doing their kid a service by making the environment rigid and not bend to them, because quote unquote the world won't do that when you're a grown-up.
Because the world is largely terrible.
Well, I mean, there are good pockets though. So to the parents who would say, well, the world doesn't work that way, so you just need to suck it up, like, there are some instances where that's true. There are other instances where it's there's more flexibility than most people realize, but it doesn't show up unless somebody asks for it, right?
Accommodations and such. And usually if a person is resistant to providing an accommodation, it's either because they feel they're still feeling the trauma of their own needs not being accommodated, right? Or they don't understand, which, like, I think, are you both familiar with Alok? If you're not, you should definitely check out Alok. They have amazing stuff. What is Alok? What is this spelling of
Alok,
this word?
I'm probably going to pronounce their last name wrong, and I am so apologetic for doing this wrong. Alok, I want to say Vaid Menon. They are a non-binary, like, incredibly brilliant, fashion-forward human. And they talk. There's one podcast that they did, and we'll maybe put a link in the show notes, with the Man Enough podcast, where they talk about the core is not understanding, it's compassion, right?
I like compassion.
if you tell me you need something, I don't have to understand why you need it to believe you need it and to care that your needs matter, right? And if I can provide that for you, I want to, right? And like, but that the stance is often, if I don't understand your need, it must not be real, right? So
I don't
so
have that
I
need,
just
and
want to,
therefore,
yeah. So I just want to, big call out to Alok. Please watch that podcast because it is an hour of gold. And it's just really worth the time. And compassion is the core, right? Like, care for our I don't want to say fellow human being, because our fellow human being is not always fellows. Our siblings in humanity. How about that? So, like, you're human, you need something. If I can give it to you, I want to, right? If I am not able to, then I would like to have a negotiation of how we can navigate both our needs to try to find a path that does the least harm to both of us, right? Like, I think that's how it should work.
I take it
and
sort of like right now. I'm in Kentucky, more southern Indiana, and it's very cold outside. It's very snowy, and the real world is out there. And in theory, I really like to be warm and comfortable here in my house. But in theory, if we say the world is cold and unforgiving, why not just leave all the doors and windows open and just let everything be cold
well,
forever? That's not really how we
exactly.
work.
The other thing too is, in the developmental period, we're not serving our kids by giving them a hostile environment they don't know how to deal with and their nervous systems aren't equipped for, right?
Yep.
Their job as kids is to start, like, figuring out how their body works and like start figuring out how their brain works and like what is this world even, and like, and so when parents create safety or safer scenarios for their kids, that gives their kids more of a secure base to come out from, to use attachment theory type of language, right? The safe haven is the place that you go back to when you're upset or you need connection, and the secure base is the place that you venture out from, right? But if you don't have a secure base, the world is always a threat. Every part of the world is a threat. And that's where we get our overactive nervous systems, and that's where we get an quote unquote increased in autism symptomatology, which is actually autistic trauma symptomatology. And so for parents who are like, wait, I don't know if I can accommodate my kid. I don't know if that's a good idea. Am I just spoiling them? Am I giving into them? Like, prioritize their nervous system first, right?
Especially if you can just
Encourage,
add some cinnamon.
right? Like, it's not hard to add some fucking cinnamon. Also, cinnamon is delicious, so why not?
And
Right.
And there's all kinds of good like micronutrients in cinnamon. So
this
add
is
it.
the thing
Yes.
that gets me. This is the thing that, because I consider autistic culture akin to like deaf culture, in that we have learned how to live a happier, healthier life that works for us. I
Yes.
believe that people who are not autistic would benefit from this in self-accommodations too, because I believe that the whole bootstrap mentality is insane. But Arielle,
It's also a fantasy.
yes, it
Mhm.
is the
It's
mythical
yeah,
masculinity and doing everything, and but
right.
so how did you, thanks to your parents learning from your brother's stuff, how did you learn how to be happy and healthy and be an independent human who does independent human things? All of this. What is up with this?
So it was really that secure base, you know, that my mom was able to give for me, that allowed me to hear the voice inside that told me that I would be screaming like demons in hell if I worked in a corporate environment. You know, is that she never made it feel like it was a deficit that I would hate that, you know? So I was able to, and I wasn't really clear on it until I found, because I'm with you, Matt. I think everybody who is autistic should know. I think that this is, I think, why we're all compelled to tell each other, right? Because life gets better when you know. But I still had some sense of the things that I would like and the things that I would hate, and the things that would fill me up and the things that would, because even though I didn't know justice sensitivity was a really key part of autism, I knew that I couldn't work at a corporation that was soulless, that I couldn't do work that I didn't feel like benefited, you know? So even when I had my investor who invested in the business was like, why do you want it? You can call uncle and walk away from this. Like, you're making peanuts to do this. Like, he told me to go marry a rich man. And I was like, I know you. Oh, get out. So because he had to go to prison. So yeah. You heard right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that was a smooth one right there. You just kind of glossed over. Oh yes, major crimes.
The crimes were major. They surely were. And Dan's life got shits creeked. Yeah, because we weren't worth anything, so the IRS didn't seize the business. I'm not even kidding you.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Justice sensitivity, keeping us out of jail since 1908. All right, yes.
Exactly. And so, you know, when he was like, you know, go be a trophy wife to somebody somewhere, and I was like, no, I'm doing something good for the world here. I'm going to keep doing this. I don't care if I'm not making money. This is what my heart demands that I do, you know? And that came from my dad. Really instilled that one in me too, is so they both created this secure base that informed me, even if I didn't have the language, you know, of the things that would fill me up and the things that wouldn't.
That's excellent. That's excellent. And again, you know, with that secure base, you're able to have a better moral compass and a better ability to judge. Should I listen to my gut, or should I listen to Mr. going to jail for a very long time? That's a major life decision.
Exactly. Right. It's kept me on the path that keeps me moving in a good direction, you know?
Yeah.
Speaking of moving, tell us about, so there's this thing that we call proprioception, and it is awareness. It's a little like, and Erin, feel free to correct me on this. It's due to a little bit in the back of your brain that tells you where you are in space and time. And then vestibular stimulation is due to like ear bones rattling around in your skull, right? So a lot of autistic people are very, very sensitive to these things, and we tend to have what we call a movement hunger, where we need to get up and move around as opposed to being shackled to a cubicle for 24 hours a day. How does this work with you? How does this work with your people? Tell us all about movement and how you experience all of this.
Yes, absolutely. So this is part of why I think belly dance in particular really drew me in, is that the music is there's so much articulation in the music and the dance that it is such a wonderful way to stim. You know, there's just so many different ways that, like, okay, I'm going to squeeze my butt cheek on this time, and now I'm going to flex my pec on this time. And it just calls.
Don't forget the cymbals.
Yes, of course, got to have some finger cymbals to get that noise feedback. You got the jingles on your hips maybe to get that noise feedback. There's just so much that is delicious to an autistic palate. Not to mention the regulating. So, because a lot of people who are autistic, our nervous systems are just, you know, chaotic world theory that we're responding to this chaos all the time. And so the shaking in particular, the shimmying that we do in belly dance, this is a part of, so like gazelles on the savannah or whatever being chased by a lion. If they don't get caught, they will frequently shake for a few minutes because it ends the stress cycle, right? If you have all this chemical storm in your body, and belly dance does the same thing. That's why I particularly like belly dance, because the movements themselves are so regulating to the system. And then, of course, there's the whole thing about having to show up at a certain place at a certain time where people know you and they'll miss you if you aren't there. There's people who come and who work at the studio or who are students who have been there for 10, 15 years because of this regulation. I know each week that I can count on this and it keeps me stable, right? That's how I made it through the pandemic, was knowing that I had my 3 classes and I knew what day it was because I knew what class I had to go to. So it's regulating mentally, it's regulating for the nervous system, and it's fun. And there's so many opportunities to stim. Like, it's just, it's delightful. And I see that in my students too.
And that's an interesting thing, because
the colors are amazing. The fabrics that are often worn with belly dance are like, the costumes are elaborate and gorgeous. The scarves have sparkles in them. Like there's so much deliciousness.
It's the only thing that comes close in terms of costume, and belly dance costumes are way better. Sorry, it's way better.
and tell us, because it's something we got into on the other podcast, but again, I like people to be here where it's nice and safe. Tell us about the difference between like Egyptian belly dance and Turkish belly dance, because there's a lot of differences in form and function and costumes and everything. So tell us all about this. What do you prefer and why?
Oh my goodness, this is such a great question. So Egyptian belly dance versus Turkish belly dance. These, to me, of all of the different countries, I feel like there's a lot of similarities between Egyptian dance and Turkish dance in terms of like the classic performance style that you would see on a stage. So, but one of the biggest differences to me is there's a lot more power and like big powerful movements in Turkish dance that is a bit bolder than Egyptian dance, right? So Turkish dance can look a little, Egyptian dancers would be like, oh, it's a little brassy, it's a little bolder. Turkey itself is a little bit more liberal of a country, especially now, than Egypt is. So I feel like that's reflected in the dance. Another thing that really separates the Turkish dance from Egyptian dance is I feel like there is a heavier influence of Roma culture. So one of the most famous Turkish dancers, Didem, comes from a Romani background. So I feel like there's a lot stronger of an influence in that element that is brought to the Turkish dance style. Now, this is absolutely still present in Egyptian dance as well. So the Ghawazi dancers are the last known family who does what we would think of as like the roots of belly dance, right? And so there's some similarities there, but it's like the dance style between Romani dance in Turkey and the Ghawazi dance in Egypt they're really different. One is a lot calmer, right? So to me, the Ghawazi dance it's grounded. It's really heavy on the finger symbols. There's a lot of hip work going on. It's about the interaction between the dancers themselves, the dancers and the musicians. Whereas Turkey is this big, ba, 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 energetic, outward expression. It's really bold. It's kind of fiery. So that's I could go on forever, but that's my
now,
this is
I'm
why we are
really
here.
Hard time telling.
Yes.
Do you enjoy this?
You know what? Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little. Yeah.
Maybe a little.
And that's the thing, because when we were talking earlier about like the focus of our podcast, this is necessary because we're starting a new year. We're starting hopefully a fresh start in this what age of opportunities, age of new beginnings.
The age of Aquarius, if you ask people who are into that sort of thing.
Oh, well, now I've got that song stuck in my head.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this is, we need to find new things to fall in love with. We need to find new avenues to get in touch with ourselves. And for a lot of people, especially for like kids in mainstream classrooms who are forced to sit at a desk all the time, for adults who do have cubicle jobs, God help you all. This is a very, very big thing, because learning about all these things, especially from someone who is incredibly passionate about them, this is a very important thing to find out more about who we are. And that is awesome.
Yeah,
really
I
is.
completely agree.
So how do you teach? What is up with this teaching? Because if people live in Wisconsin, they can find you. But how you say that you teach people outside of Wisconsin? That's one hell of a dance. How do you do that?
I do, yeah. So I have made the most of the 3 classes I teach a week. They are in person, they are live stream, and we record them and put them up on the library. And I
Wow.
do absolutely advertise to an autistic clientele, whether they know it or not. Hunter was talking about this too, about like, yeah, if you like the way I describe things, I've got some news for you.
Mm-hmm.
I have a peer review you might want to consider. So the number one way that is, I keep seeing these trends going around online about some kind of poly something way of hearing something. And I'm like, that's not, you're just hearing it. You are hearing it and expressing it autistically is what this is, right? Where like the music and the movement feel like they are generated together. Like the movement must be generating the music, right? And so I will sing the lyrics of the songs to my students. I always make them full of like butthole jokes and stuff, because as soon as I make a butthole joke about it, you're gonna remember.
I'm signed up to your newsletter.
Exactly. Like we can very seriously study something while not being serious about it at all, right? Because this is a cultural dance and there's important roots, and we can study the culture, and we can also have irreverent ways of thinking about things and weird lyrics that we sing to it. And I have 4 different analogies for every different move, right? Is for doing a figure 8 in the hips, it's you're stuck in concrete boots and a mad scientist has got you trapped, so you got to reach out with your hip and flip the switch. Or to do an undulation, you're scraping chocolate off with your nipples and you can only collect it by using your nipples. You know. It really helps.
An excellent scenario. Yes.
Yes.
You've got Matt's interest for sure.
Yep. You'll never forget how to do it.
I will confess to having taken a couple of belly dancing lessons after my undergrad, and I really liked it. But I found out I had scoliosis shortly after because doing it messed up my back in a way that took a while to recover from. So
yeah.
Can you talk about like who should or like, are there, because so many of us have concurrent medical problems, like how do you adapt what you do to support people who are struggling with health issues of a variety of reasons? Are there any people that you're like, talk to your doctor first? Like, can you walk us through that?
Yes, absolutely. So one of the ways that we adapt everything is that my mom is doing all of the moves with me. So everything that I'm doing really big, she's often doing much smaller. So you're seeing it on, a 72-year-old body. You're seeing it move differently at a different age. Every single move that I do, because I tell my students, if something hurts, tell me and I'll tell you why. Because I have X-ray vision. I can see the skeleton. I can see what's going on. There's always an adaptation. And the biggest thing that I see, so we have rolling stools in my studio so that you can dance seated, but you can still move around. You can still turn around.
Oh, beautiful. I love that.
It's actually a really great way to do a lot of the movements. You can do pretty much everything seated that you can do standing. So there's just, because for me, I'm like, if you can move some part of your skeleton, you can dance. You don't need to move all of your skeleton, just some of it. That's all you need, and you're good to go. Just the desire to do that. Yeah, so I always have people come back and tell me. So the biggest thing that I see issues with is hypermobility. We have a lot of people in the studio with EDS. Yes. My wife has EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, for those who aren't familiar with that. So that is the only time that I see people, their body allows them to go further than their ligaments really, like their muscles allow for more movement than their ligaments really want. So there needs to be, because I am also hypermobile, but not to like a detrimental degree. So I move really big. I have to tell them, don't do it as big as I am, because your body's not going to support that. Right. There is a certain point where you build enough muscle where some of that will kind of hold in on its own, but you never know. It all depends on how somebody's built.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing, because autistic people often have hypermobility and EDS issues, for those who don't know, there's also a comorbidity between MCAS and hypermobility issues because of mast cells within your connective tissue getting all wonky. So we rely on our bones and we rely on our musculature to hold ourselves together. But even then, you could really tear something awful in ways that no one would, well, lots of people would not expect, and this is a common thing for autistic people. So
Yes.
Hmm.
so being aware of this is essentially being body trauma informed ahead of time,
Yes.
so that you can meet as many people where they are at as possible. And I find it
Yes.
fascinating that with your mom doing the movements along with you, it's essentially like a body language version of like an ASL interpreter. I really dig that. That's pretty
There
cool.
you go.
I'm going to tell her that. She's going to love that. Because
That's
sometimes she'll be
cool.
like, I don't know, am I too old to be up in the front of the room? And I'm like, no, Mom. No, people need to see
No,
that.
she's really
Yeah,
important.
yeah.
Exactly. She's vital. She's vital to it. And that's exactly it. It's like an ASL interpretation. That's perfect.
Right.
And that's the
And
thing about why hypermobility can be a problem, is because you're going to be better at belly dance because you're hypermobile, right? So that's why it kind of draws that, so yeah.
yeah, and the last time we spoke, I mentioned that I am more of the awkward wobble sort, and then our commander in chief took the awkward wobble from me and made it really awkward. So now I am more driven to be more fluid in my movements, even if I might run through a wall, because that's
Worth it.
my proprioceptive awareness. So
Worth
so
it.
how tell us about like the being Prometheus, giving the fire to the people and taking the dance away from the specialists, and being more egalitarian in everybody can dance. What is up with this? How do you do that?
Yeah, I feel like there is, in every dance form, I feel like you've got your neurotypical branch and then you've got your autistic branch, and belly dance is no exception. So the field is pretty riddled, shall I say, with white women selling an Orientalist fantasy of what belly dance is. So there's no connection to the culture. There's no connection to like a greater meaning. There's no, art is inherently political, especially when your
Yes.
body is part of it. But so
Yes.
many, especially white women, like to depoliticize the dance as if we can do that, right?
Right.
So I find that
Again,
incorporating
colonizer mentality.
exactly
Right.
right, and there's a lot of that, and I remember showing my students the difference between like actual Egyptian music and Orientalist music, and my students saying, "Yeah, I can smell the camels on that one." Right? That's how you know that you're getting the Orientalist fantasy. If you can smell the camels, if you can hear like the silk tent waving, that's not real. It's not based in any reality, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah, because there's a lot of storytelling involved in belly dancing.
yes.
What is up with this? How does one tell a story non-verbally?
Know the lyrics. That's first off a great place to start. That a lot of people don't even do the bare minimum of like learning the lyrics, and not just the Google translation, but having a native speaker. If you don't speak Arabic, have a native speaker translate it for you, because Arabic is so poetic. It's so poetic, so passionate. English has nothing on Arabic. So you have to have somebody translate the poetry for you, right? And there's also maqams are part of the music. So this is like musical structures. Like I guess the best way to describe it would be like a sentence in a song, right? So this is the musical structures in the Arab world of music is so much more complex than the Western world, in my opinion.
Well, they did invent
so-
algebra, so
Right, and all of everything else involving
Yeah.
dance and music, in my opinion.
yeah.
So the maqams themselves also have a feeling that goes with that chunk of music, and it's not something that you can just learn in a year. You have to get really, really familiar with the actual music, not what with Hollywood says is Arab vibes, right?
And that's the thing. That's the thing, because when you really dive into it and get a not just a hint of the culture, but you start to learn and understand. The understanding is a big autistic thing, because
Yes.
we are bottom up processors. We need to know the hows and the whys of everything, because everything is built on everything else. And if you really want to get good at it, you have to understand the origins and why we are where we are today.
Yes.
And that's the fun of it. That's the delight of the special interest. That's the flow state. Excuse me. That's the flow state, where we are able to get so deeply into that, and making this not just a shadow of its former self for capitalistic gain,
Yes.
but to expose people and teach people and be fluid in all this. That's a big one.
Yes, exactly. And that's like, I don't understand how people stick with the Orientalist fantasy. It's so flat. Princess Jasmine, I Dream a Genie, done. That's it. You've seen it all.
Yeah.
You know, when the real thing is so rich. It's so rich, so textured. I've been studying this for 20 years. I learn new things all the time, and I feel like I barely know anything. You know, like, how could, are you not hungry for knowledge? Do you know what to
This
know
is the
everything?
way.
I don't understand
Yeah.
people who aren't hungry for knowledge. I really don't. Like,
Me neither. I don't get
how
it.
can you go through life without curiosity?
Like, do you ever experience joy? You know, I'm convinced that they must not really experience joy.
Well, this is okay. So, this is about the time every year when I see a picture on my timeline of my son seeing the Lego Eiffel Tower for the first time, and he just kind of had the reverse of a meltdown, autistic euphoria in the Lego store, where he's screaming and stomping and just overcome with delight. And
Yes.
that's, I don't think that most people are either capable of having that level of joy, or it's been beaten out of them and they find it to be aberrant because it might potentially make other people uncomfortable. How do you
Yep.
embrace that level of joy? Because being able to dive in and learn everything and just feast upon the knowledge, that is true joy.
Yeah, I'm convinced that like that level of joy is only achievable by autistic people, because we talk
Yeah.
so much about the meltdowns and the lows, but we don't talk about how we experience all of those things that intensely, including the joy, including the euphoria, the excitement, the enthusiasm. You know, we don't talk about the autistic joy up.
Exactly. And this is a big thing about like people who were behaviorists affected them, or their parents tried to beat it out of them, or all these things. You grew up in an environment where this was encouraged and you're allowed to feel this, and it's been embraced.
Yes.
It's such a heightened feeling, such a good way to get through all of the again, being warm and being bundled up and being cuddled, as opposed to the outside full of snow and, I don't know, polar bears or some shit. So
Yep.
this helps us get through an uncertain and hostile world, because we do have this joy and it's
Yeah.
necessary. And that's why we do this, because we have to bring these bits of joy to everybody so that they can join in it with us. We get to live vicariously through each other's experiences and have that joy and try to find it ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. And this was one my mom did intentionally, because this was something that she said the spirit was broken out of her. That was the word that she used about her own
Oh.
childhood. Yeah. Raised by her parents, you know, who grew up in the Depression era. And so she specifically with me never wanted to squash my spirit. You know, she always wanted me to be free to express myself. And I'm
Good.
so grateful
Nice.
for that now, because
Yeah.
like the kid who is screaming on the playground about this is the cutest day of my life. The kid with the puppies. I don't know if you've seen that one, but I'm certain that kid's autistic.
I haven't seen it, but I want to watch it now.
It's so, I mean, he's just like, this is the cutest day of my life.
I love
And like,
it.
that's me about everything I love. Everything that I love is the cutest day of my life.
Mhm.
That's wonderful. I love that so much. That's so great.
Yeah.
I think that's a high point here. We're with the 8 minutes before, we're roughly at the half of the 40-minute mark. But I am so glad that we were able to talk today, and we'd
Yes.
like to have you back. It's great to have you here. You're a great friend of the show, and thank you for coming by and spreading some autistic joy. Because
Exactly.
I think that we need to know more about how to do that and live our best autistic lives. So thank you for
Yes.
coming and joining us.
Thank you so much. Spreading the autistic joy is my favorite thing.
That's awesome. Well, we will see you next time on the Autistic Voice Project. Have a good one,
Bye,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.